Hey everyone, it is Dr. Kyle, and I have a thought of the week for you today, and it's regarding fevers, something that I think everyone goes through. In fact, you may be somebody that goes through a fever multiple times throughout this time of year when it comes to colds and flus. And the reason why that a fever exists is because a fever is part of your body's natural immune response when it's trying to fight off an infection from a virus or a bacteria. It's one of the early responses, and what it is your body is heating up to a degree where it's trying to bake off or kill off a virus or bacteria that's invaded. As it's starting to multiply, it triggers these natural systems within your body. And so to kill it off en masse, your body raises your internal body temperature to do that. It's similar to an autoclave. If you are somebody that works in like a healthcare industry that sterilizes, or you're familiar with that process where you heat up instruments or tools to kill off anything that's on the surface, or if you're somebody that maybe has ever had to boil water because there's a fear of a bacteria or something that's gotten into the water supply, it's using heat to kill off those bacteria, viruses, whatever the organism is before it becomes dangerous to you. So a fever is a very natural part of your body's natural or immediate immune response to when there's an invader. So it's important to understand that to really put in context why it's so vital that when you do have a fever, you understand a few things about letting it run its course as much as possible so that your body is able to mount the best defense that it can. Now, medically, a fever is defined as anything over 100.7 degrees. Most people aren't familiar with 98.6 being the average or the normal measuring mark for a body temperature. So it doesn't mean that as soon as you go anything above that, it's a fever. Medically, 100.7 is the first time it gets recognized as a natural part of your response. Now, there's a lot of misunderstanding here, or sometimes people are quick to try and break a fever because they don't like the way that it feels, or if they see a child that is suffering, they want to make them feel as good as possible, so they give them like ibuprofen or something in order to break that. While certainly it's never comfortable to watch or to suffer or see a child go through that or suffer through it yourself, understand that if you break a fever medically, if you use a pharmaceutical to do that, you're actually likely going to be prolonging just how long your body is dealing with that illness, because you're taking away one of the most powerful tools that your body has in its toolbox. So when is it an appropriate time to maybe seek care or do something to try and reduce the effects of a fever? At 100.7, that's the first time it becomes officially recognized as a fever. Now, looking at the Cleveland Clinic website, now Cleveland Clinic is one of the premier hospital systems in the world, especially when it comes to children. If you go to their website and you search fever in their search bar, you're going to get a lot of articles, but the very first one goes through a bullet point and a description of how they approach fevers. And they say, even with a more aggressive medical approach, don't even be concerned until it hits at least 102 degrees. Even at 102, you don't need to worry unless there's some other symptoms that are happening, or if that individual is failing to thrive, if they're malaise or they're fatigued, things like that, if they're not able to eat food, if they're not able to keep things down. If there's other symptoms with it, that's when 102 becomes relevant. In lack of any of those other symptoms, though, they say don't even call a medical professional until you hit 104 degrees. And the reason that's important is because most viruses are killed off in your body between 101 degrees and 104 degrees. So if you're somebody that breaks a fever or too early, like at 100, 102, you're likely going to be allowing that virus to just continue to propagate and get worse and worse in your body. And with that, you're not only are you knocking down a fever with something like a pharmaceutical, but you're actually creating inflammation and things that weaken your body's natural response in other ways too. So a fever is really important. No one wants to suffer or see someone you love suffer with that, but just understand the importance of allowing that to happen during its natural course to give your body the best chance to fight. Medically, at 102 is when maybe start to look at options if there's other things going on, but really 104 is the first time where there's really any need to even be a little bit concerned. And even then, in lack of any other symptoms, it's medically not often necessary to do anything. Allow your body to go through this for a short period of time, and ultimately you're going to get the best result possible. I hope you understand a little bit more about fevers. If you have questions or anything else, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. We're always here, and I always love the time to educate and talk a little bit about just how amazing your body is at fighting off all these natural things that are in the world around us. Stay healthy, stay safe. Can't wait to see you again soon.